Welcome to the Excited Education channel, the YouTube channel which brings you about mathematics and biology. As usual, I'm Teacher Amy Chris on YouTube channel called the Excited Education channel. I would like to first encourage each and everybody who's watching this video to make subscribe, comment, share and like, such that he or she can be able to follow our different videos that we would like to upload on our channel. So here, as you see on the last session, we discussed the invertebrates endocrine system, and now in this video we are going to discuss about the vertebrates endocrine system. So here, for the vertebrates endocrine system, lies on the classical endocrine organisms which controls and orchestrate many physiological processes, but the nervous system exerts influence over the endocrine system, since some of the peripheral endocrine organisms are under the control of the anterior pituitary. So there are two types of typical vertebrates endocrine glands. So these are exclusively endocrine in function, e.g. pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus and renal. So those which perform other function beside producing hormones. Example, here these are in vertebrates endocrine system. We find that there are different vertebrate endocrine glands, and those excluding endocrine in function. For instance, like pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus and renal. And here the human endocrine system can be used as an example. Let us see hypothalamus. So here we just tackle on the human endocrine system to represent the vertebrates endocrine system. Starting from the hypothalamus and the human, this small region of the brain is the major integrating link between the nervous and the endocrine system. Here, along with its neural function, it produces and releases hormones. You know that in the hypothalamus for the human being, it's the one part of the brain that is responsible for the releasing hormones. So, and major role of the hypothalamus is to control the pituitary gland. And the structure and the functional relationship between the hypothalamus and pituitary gland is illustrated in the next diagram. As you see, this diagram is what we call hypothalamus. The process or the function of the hypothalamus in the brain, and these are different parts of the hypothalamus. As you see, this is the structure of hypothalamus. So here we have a posterior pituitary gland and anterior pituitary gland. And here there is what we call a blood vessel, and these are cell bodies of the hypothalamic neurons. You know, these are ADA and oxytocin. This enters bloodstream through the target organs and the axon of those hypothalamic neurons. So you know, there is also what you call on the blood vessels, the hypothalamic neuron secreting the releasing and inhibiting hormones. These are what we call secreting or releasing and release inhibiting hormones. These are what we call endocrine cell of the anterior pituitary gland. So let us discuss on the hypothalamus endocrine system. And as you see in this figure, we are going to discuss deeply on how the hypothalamus on the human being can represent, or how it takes the process or the system of endocrine. And here the hypothalamic hormones are referred to as the releasing and inhibiting hormones. These are what we call hypothalamic hormones. So influencing the anterior pituitary hormone production, hypothalamic releasing and inhibiting hormones are carried directly to the anterior pituitary glands via hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vein. So these are the hormones that are likely to be produced by hypothalamic hormones, or what you call hypothalamic hormones are the releasing and inhibiting hormones, and they are likely to be produced through anterior pituitary gland or carried directly to the anterior pituitary gland, and it's via hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vein. And as an example, thyroid releasing hormone from the hypothalamus binds to the target cell on the anterior pituitary and stimulates them to secrete TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone, and the anterior pituitary hormones enter the systematic circulation and bind to their receptor on other target organs. For TSH, the target organ is the thyroid gland. You know that TSH is what we call thyroid stimulating hormones. So it's one example of thyroid releasing hormone from the hypothalamic binds to that of the target cells and anterior pituitary and stimulate them to secrete what you call thyroid stimulating hormone. And the hypothalamus receives input from several other regions of the brain, including the limbic system, cerebral cortex, and the thalamus. It also receives sensory information. So let us see the function of the hypothalamus. Painful, stressful, and emotional experience also cause change in hypothalamic activities. In turn, the hypothalamic controls the autonomic nervous system and regulates body temperature. So this is one example, or this one function of the hypothalamus in the brain. They regulate the body temperature and the being under control of the autonomic nervous system. And here, this is what we call also regulates thirsty, regulates hunger, regulates sexual behaviors, and regulates defensive reactions such as fear and rage. So for the rage reactions and fear for the human being, it is controlled by hypothalamus. These are different functions of the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus synthesizes also at least 10 releasing and release inhibiting hormones as summarized in the next table. These are table that shows the hormones that are likely to be produced by hypothalamus, and it is called releasing and release inhibiting hormones. So it is synthesized by the what? Hypothalamus. So hypothalamic hormones and their anterior pituitary hormone, they influence. So here this is what we call this part is what we call parts of hypothalamic hormones, and this part is what we call anterior pituitary hormone influenced. So these releasing hormones, there is what we call growth hormone. Also it's anterior pituitary hormone influenced by growth hormone. Also there is what you call thyrotropin releasing hormone. It is what called thyrotropin stimulating hormone, and what you call prolactin releasing hormone with prolactin luteinizing hormone, or hormone releasing. It is luteinizing hormone. Also follicle stimulating. There is what you call melanocyte. There is what you call corticotropin releasing hormone. There is what we call releasing inhibiting hormone. These are releasing hormones, and there is what we call release inhibiting hormone. The release inhibiting hormones includes growth hormone, release inhibiting hormone. There is what you call also prolactin, the endocrinocyte, where the growth hormone is its anterior pituitary hormone. Influenza is growth hormone. Also prolactin is prolactin, and melanocytic stimulating hormone, it is one of the anterior pituitary hormone influenza of the release inhibiting hormone called melanocytic stimulating hormones. So allow me